The two worst vitamins that weaken your legs after 60, and the foods to avoid. Have you noticed your legs feeling weaker than they used to? Maybe climbing the stairs leaves you breathless, or standing up from a chair feels harder than it should. After 60, we often blame age. But what if I told you that certain vitamins, the very ones you trust for better health, could quietly be draining strength from your legs? It's not just about getting older. Sometimes, it's about what we're putting into our bodies every single day. Today, we're going to gently uncover two vitamins that may be weakening your legs, and the common foods that make it worse. Before we begin, if you care about staying strong, steady, and independent in your golden years, please subscribe to this channel. Like this video, and tell me in the comments, have your legs felt weaker recently? Your story may help someone else feel less alone. High-dose synthetic vitamin A supplements, especially retinol-based capsules taken daily without medical supervision, can quietly harm adults over 60. Vitamin A is an essential nutrient that supports vision, immune defense, and normal cell growth. However, when consumed in excessive amounts from synthetic sources, particularly in concentrated pill form, it does not simply pass harmlessly through the body. Unlike water-soluble vitamins that are excreted in urine, when taken in excess, vitamin A is fat-soluble. This means it is stored in body tissues, primarily in the liver. Over time, repeated high intake can lead to accumulation, and that buildup can begin to interfere with important biological processes, especially those related to bone health. Bone tissue is not static. It is constantly undergoing remodeling, a balanced cycle in which old bone is broken down and new bone is formed. This process depends on tightly regulated activity between bone-resorbing cells, called osteoclasts, and bone-building cells, called osteoblasts. Research has shown that excessive levels of retinol, the active form found in many synthetic vitamin A supplements, may stimulate osteoclast activity while suppressing osteoblast function. When this balance shifts, bone breakdown begins to outpace bone formation. Gradually, bone mineral density declines. For older adults, whose bone density may already be decreasing due to age-related hormonal changes, this imbalance can accelerate structural weakening. Several large observational studies have linked high intake of preformed vitamin A with reduced bone density and increased fracture risk in older populations. Some doctors warn that long-term daily doses, exceeding recommended dietary allowances, may raise the likelihood of hip fractures in postmenopausal women and older men. The hip is particularly vulnerable because it bears body weight and plays a central role in balance and mobility. Even a modest reduction in bone strength in this area can significantly increase the consequences of a fall. In seniors, hip fractures are associated with prolonged recovery, loss of independence, and higher risk of complications. Excess vitamin A may also interfere indirectly with vitamin D, another nutrient crucial for bone strength. Some research suggests that high levels of retinol can counteract vitamin D's protective effects on calcium absorption and bone mineralization. When calcium regulation becomes impaired, bones may lose density more rapidly. For older adults who already struggle with maintaining optimal vitamin D levels, due to reduced skin synthesis and limited sun exposure, adding excessive synthetic vitamin A may further compromise skeletal integrity. The effects are often subtle and gradual. There may be no immediate warning signs when taking high-dose supplements. Unlike acute toxicity, which can cause nausea, dizziness, or headaches, chronic excess develops quietly over months or years. Bone thinning does not cause pain in its early stages. By the time noticeable symptoms appear, such as reduced height, back discomfort, or fractures after minor falls, significant bone loss may already have occurred. What feels like muscle weakness in the legs may sometimes reflect instability caused by weakened bone structure beneath the muscles rather than true loss of muscle tissue alone. It is important to distinguish between synthetic, preformed vitamin A and beta-carotene from fruits and vegetables. Beta-carotene is converted into vitamin A in the body only as needed, and it does not accumulate in the same harmful way. Doctors generally consider dietary sources such as carrots, sweet potatoes, and leafy greens to be safe because the body regulates conversion efficiently. The concern primarily involves high-dose retinol, or retinol ester supplements taken regularly without medical indication. Healthcare professionals emphasize that supplementation should be individualized. The recommended daily allowance for older adults is significantly lower than the amounts found in some over-the-counter capsules marketed for vision or immune support, unless a laboratory test confirms deficiency or a physician prescribes supplementation for a specific condition. Routine high-dose vitamin A is usually unnecessary. Balanced nutrition often provides sufficient amounts for most individuals. The perception that more vitamins automatically lead to better health can be misleading, especially with fat-soluble nutrients. The body requires balance, not abundance. When taken in high doses over time, synthetic vitamin A can disrupt bone remodeling, reduce mineral density, and increase fracture risk in adults over 60. Avoiding high-dose retinol supplements, unless specifically prescribed and monitored by a healthcare professional, helps protect skeletal strength and maintain stability in later years. Cod liver oil contains very high amounts of vitamin A, and when taken daily in large doses, it can quietly push total intake into a dangerous range for adults over 60. For generations, this oil has been promoted as a traditional health tonic, often recommended for immunity, joint comfort, and overall vitality. It also provides omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D, which are important nutrients. However, the concentration of preformed vitamin A in cod liver oil is significantly higher than many people realize. When capsules or liquid forms are taken routinely, without calculating total intake from other supplements, the body can accumulate more vitamin A than it safely needs. Vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin, meaning it is stored in the liver and fatty tissues, rather than flushed out quickly. This storage capacity becomes a concern when intake remains high over long periods. Unlike water-soluble vitamins that are excreted in urine when consumed in excess, fat-soluble vitamins can build up gradually. In older adults, whose metabolism and liver function may change with age, this accumulation can occur more easily. Many seniors already take multivitamins formulated for adults over 50, and these often contain preformed vitamin A. Adding cod liver oil on top of that may double or even triple daily intake without clear warning signs. Research has shown that excessive intake of preformed vitamin A can interfere with normal bone remodeling. Bone tissue is constantly being renewed through a balance process in which old bone is broken down and new bone is formed. High levels of retinol, the active form of vitamin A, found in cod liver oil, may stimulate cells that break down bone while suppressing cells responsible for building it. Over time, this imbalance can reduce bone mineral density. For adults over 60, who are already experiencing natural age-related bone loss, this added effect can accelerate thinning and structural weakness. Weak bones in the legs also affect stability in subtle ways before any fracture occurs. Reduced bone strength can contribute to a feeling of unsteadiness. Muscles rely on strong bones for proper leverage and support. When bone structure becomes compromised, balance may decline, and the risk of falls increases. What may seem like muscle weakness or fatigue can sometimes reflect decreased skeletal support beneath the muscles. In older adults, falls are a leading cause of injury, hospitalization, and long-term mobility challenges. Preventing avoidable risk factors becomes especially important. Another concern is that many people assume natural products are automatically safe at any dose. Cod liver oil is derived from fish, which can create a perception of harmlessness. However, natural origin does not eliminate the potential for toxicity when intake exceeds physiological needs. The concentration of vitamin A in a single teaspoon of traditional cod liver oil can be several times higher than the daily requirement for an older adult. Taking this daily, particularly alongside fortified foods and multivitamins, can steadily raise blood and liver levels. Symptoms of chronic vitamin A excess may not appear immediately. Early signs can be vague, including fatigue, mild joint discomfort, or dry skin. More serious long-term effects involve bone fragility and increased fracture risk. Because these changes developed gradually, the connection to supplement use may not be recognized. Some healthcare providers recommend reviewing supplement labels carefully and calculating total vitamin A intake from all sources. Awareness is critical, especially for seniors who may not realize that multiple products contain overlapping nutrients. For adults over 60, protecting bone strength is directly linked to maintaining mobility, independence, and quality of life. Avoiding habitual high-dose use of cod liver oil without professional oversight helps reduce one preventable contributor to bone thinning. Monitoring total vitamin A intake and discussing supplement choices with a qualified healthcare professional supports safer aging. Limiting excessive cod liver oil consumption is a practical step toward preserving skeletal stability and lowering fall risk in later years. Vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine, is often marketed for energy production and nerve support. Yet in high supplemental doses, it can damage peripheral nerves instead of protecting them. This vitamin plays an essential role in protein metabolism, red blood cell formation, and neurotransmitter synthesis. In appropriate amounts, it supports normal nerve communication and overall neurological function. The concern arises when supplements provide doses far above the recommended daily allowance, especially when taken for extended periods without medical supervision. While moderate intake from food is considered safe, concentrated capsules containing large amounts of pyridoxine can gradually create unintended harm. Peripheral nerves are responsible for transmitting signals between the brain, spinal cord, and the rest of the body. These nerves allow sensation in the feet and legs and coordinate muscle movement needed for balance and walking. Research has shown that excessive intake of pyridoxine can lead to a condition called sensory neuropathy. In this condition, the very nerves meant to be supported by vitamin B6 become irritated or damaged. High levels may interfere with normal nerve cell function and disrupt the transmission of electrical impulses. Over time, this can result in tingling, burning sensations, numbness, or weakness, particularly in the lower extremities. For adults over 60, nerve health is already more vulnerable due to natural aging processes. With advancing age, nerve conduction speed may slow slightly, and circulation to peripheral tissues can decrease. When high levels of pyridoxine are added to this environment, the risk of nerve irritation may increase. Excess B6 can interfere with normal signaling between nerves and leg muscles, leading to sensations of heaviness or instability while walking. What may appear to be simple, fatigue can actually reflect disrupted nerve communication. In severe cases, sensory neuropathy can affect coordination, making it harder to feel the ground properly beneath the feet. Unlike water-soluble vitamins that are quickly eliminated, vitamin B6 toxicity does not always require extremely high doses to develop if exposure is prolonged. Some supplements marketed for energy, mood balance, or nerve support contain amounts many times higher than the daily requirement. In addition, B-complex formulas may combine several B vitamins, including pyridoxine, leading to cumulative intake. When taken alongside fortified foods, many seniors assume that because vitamin B6 is water-soluble, any excess will be harmlessly excreted. However, clinical evidence demonstrates that sustained high levels can still affect nerve tissue. The symptoms of B6-induced neuropathy can significantly impact quality of life. Tingling and numbness in the feet may reduce confidence when walking. Balance problems increase fall risk, which is particularly concerning for older adults. Falls are a major cause of injury in this age group, often leading to fractures or hospitalization. Some patients reported improvement after discontinuing high-dose supplements, but recovery can be slow, and nerve healing is not always immediate. In certain cases, damage may persist for an extended period, depending on the duration and severity of exposure. Healthcare professionals emphasize the importance of using supplements only when medically necessary. Vitamin B6 deficiency is relatively uncommon in developed countries, and when it does occur, it is typically associated with specific medical conditions or certain medications. In those cases, supplementation should be carefully dosed and monitored. Taking high-dose pyridoxine without confirmed deficiency may expose the nervous system to unnecessary risk. Some doctors recommend reviewing all supplement labels to ensure total daily intake remains within safe limits established by health authorities for adults over 60, seeking to maintain mobility and independence. Protecting nerve health is essential. Avoiding high-dose vitamin B6 supplements, unless prescribed for a diagnosed deficiency and carefully monitored by a physician, reduces the risk of sensory neuropathy. Maintaining appropriate intake within recommended guidelines supports neurological function without exposing peripheral nerves to unnecessary harm. Careful, informed decisions about supplementation can help preserve balance, strength, and confidence in later years. Energy drinks and fortified processed foods with added vitamin B6 can significantly increase total intake beyond safe levels, especially in adults over 60. Many packaged cereals, protein bars, meal replacement shakes, and so-called energy beverages are enriched with synthetic pyridoxine in amounts that far exceed what is naturally found in whole foods. Manufacturers often promote these products as convenient solutions for fatigue or low stamina. However, when these items are consumed regularly, particularly alongside multivitamins or B-complex supplements, total daily vitamin B6 intake can quietly rise into a range associated with nerve toxicity. Vitamin B6 plays an important role in metabolism and nerve function when consumed in appropriate amounts. It helps the body convert food into energy and supports the production of neurotransmitters that allow nerves to communicate effectively. The problem arises when intake becomes excessive over time. Unlike vitamin B6 from natural food sources, which appears in balanced concentrations, fortified products can deliver large doses in a single serving. An energy drink may contain several times the recommended daily allowance in one can. A fortified cereal or protein bar eaten later the same day can add even more. When combined with a supplement capsule, the cumulative effect may push intake well above established safety thresholds. Chronic overconsumption of vitamin B6 has been linked in medical literature to sensory neuropathy, a condition involving damage to peripheral nerves. These nerves carry sensation from the legs and feet to the brain and coordinate muscle responses that maintain balance. Some doctors warn that prolonged exposure to high levels of pyridoxine may disrupt normal nerve signaling. Early symptoms can include tingling or numbness in the toes, subtle burning sensations in the feet, or an unusual heaviness in the legs while walking. Over time, these sensations may progress and interfere with coordination and stability. Older adults are particularly vulnerable because nerve function naturally becomes more sensitive with age. Blood flow to peripheral nerves may decline gradually, and recovery from minor nerve irritation can take longer. When excessive vitamin B6 from fortified products is added to this environment, the risk of cumulative nerve stress increases. Seniors who believe they are improving energy levels by consuming fortified drinks or snack bars may not realize that persistent high intake can produce the opposite effect. Nerve irritation can cause weakness and instability, reducing confidence while walking and increasing the likelihood of falls. Symptoms of B6-related neuropathy often develop gradually and may be mistaken for normal aging. A senior might attribute mild numbness or balance changes to fatigue or joint stiffness. Because the progression is slow, the connection to dietary sources is not always recognized. Some healthcare providers advise reviewing food and beverage labels carefully, especially when unexplained tingling or leg weakness appears. Reducing or eliminating heavily fortified products has been associated in some cases with symptom improvement, although recovery can take time depending on duration of exposure. Processed meal replacements and protein bars marketed toward active adults may appear beneficial, yet their vitamin fortification levels are often designed with younger consumers in mind. Seniors with slower metabolism and different nutritional needs may not require such high concentrations. Some doctors recommend prioritizing balanced intake and avoiding routine consumption of products with excessive added vitamins unless specifically advised. Protecting nerve health is essential for maintaining independence in later years. Avoiding energy drinks and heavily fortified processed foods that contain high amounts of vitamin B6 helps reduce the risk of sensory neuropathy. Monitoring total intake from all sources, including supplements and packaged foods, supports safer nutrient balance. Limiting chronic exposure to concentrated synthetic B6 can help preserve leg strength, steady walking, and long-term mobility in adults over 60. Thank you for spending these few minutes here. Growing older does not mean giving up strength or comfort. With the right foods and small daily choices, the body can continue to support you well. This channel is here to share simple, research-based guidance that helps people over 50 stay steady, active, and confident. Take care of yourself, listen to your body, and join us again for the next video.